And I'm very excited to show this film. I'm just thrilled. It's just, it's so
I was
important.
thinking about it. It is groundbreaking. I was thinking about back to 1973 when my friend was born and what was available. It was horrific. And to have this as a nurse practitioner, we got no training on anybody with any kind of intellectual or developmental disabilities. This is huge, huge, groundbreaking for you guys, really, to have the forethought to do that. Truly, thank you.
I guess we'll just start with you, Leon, if you'd like to just tell us what you thought about the film.
I thought it was wonderful, and it really resonated with me with what Colleen's mother said, that all you hear the negative things all the way through school, even, with the child study team. I tried to hit it home to them with doctors, anyone, dentists. Tell me something good. I know all the bad. I know what she can't do. Believe me, I know I'm dealing with it 24 hours a day, but please do something positive. Say something positive. Isn't she wonderful? Look at how beautiful her eyes are. Something even the simplest thing. And I want to thank Rick and Seth for doing this. This was absolutely amazing. I think medical students, medical residents, nursing students, all the different therapies, OT, PT, speech, they need to see this and identify, with them as a person first. And I think I applaud you because you really are thinking out of the box. And I think this will really help the healthcare professionals today.
Thanks, Leon.
Thank you, both of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joanne?
Yep.
I think Scott rocked it, I think.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, you only saw a little piece of him. Just live with him.
He's awesome. You doing okay? Did you enjoy the film? Think it'll be helpful?
Yes, I think I agree with everything Leona just said. The medical profession needs to be updated on so many things with our population. They don't know what to do. They ask me, well, what do you think we should do?
Yeah.
It's crazy. And with the stage that he's at now, all I get is, oh, you have so much to deal with. And, I don't know how you do it. I'm really tired of that.
I know. Yeah. One day at a time, 1 hour at a time. Right?
Sometimes 1 second at a time.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joanne, for sharing your experience and sharing Scott with us as well. Michelle, you're back. What did you think of this?
Hi. She was freshening up her makeup.
Thank
So
you.
they want to know what you think of the film. What did you think?
I totally loved it.
You're a star.
The best part was me posing with Rick. The Rick liked it.
Rick, she's ready to pose again, Rick.
You're so good. You taught me some new moves.
Yeah.
New
But we
moves.
talked about this a little bit before the film started, and you're doing this in honor of who? Who did you want to say that the film was being done for? Your friends that have gone?
A couple of my friends have now been in the blue skies right now, which are Jenny Codane, Judith Hilton, Grant Cambias, Patricia Ellen McCabe.
Sending lots
And
of
also due to my mother for Jean Boyle, her sister was Ellen Boyle.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks for that.
This was a group she grew up with from the time she was like 5 years old.
Wow.
And there were 8 of them, and now 5 of them are gone.
Wow.
So is she really?
So heartbreaking.
I know.
Mm.
I know. So yeah, but she thought it was wonderful what you're doing too, right?
Right.
Didn't they do a great job?
Yes.
Great job, Michelle. You rocked it too. You're amazing. And Scott was incredible too. So
Scott, Michelle loves Scott. The minute he pulled up in the car that day, she went right up to
I
him.
love that photograph of the two of you together too.
I like that too.
Yeah.
I like that one of them together.
Yeah.
Instant. Seth, how you doing? Seth, what you think, Seth? I know you've seen it before. You've helped with the editing on this. What you think of our world premiere?
Oh, it's such an important topical area. So for me as a neurologist, I'm a neurologist. This is what I specialize in. I specialize in aging. And I think really why we wanted to put this Project Frame particular film together is because healthcare providers really just don't understand aging in developmental disabilities, including people with Down syndrome. So this was really a way of really trying to get information out to healthcare providers who really have to learn and see. And the story about trying to show people how not only how they are now when they see them, but how they used to be. They are people. They are people that have had lives. And so, like Joanne, when you were showing those pictures of Scott on the boat, and he was fishing. And this is Scott. This is what we used to do. But sometimes, sadly enough, when you're seeing someone as a doctor and they're sitting there in a wheelchair or they've already shown signs of decline, doctors and nurse practitioners, others may be ignorant and not really appreciating. They might have bias or stereotype. Oh, this person who's always been like that. And to connect even someone who's showing sign of decline in dementia, Alzheimer's, is really it's added to understand who they are and who they used to be, and get you really a kick in the back pants here to understand this is going on. There's a change that's happening to them, but they also had a value and a high function and ability from what they used to be. So that's why it's very important for storytelling and for family members and caregivers to really tell these stories. And when we put this particular product frame aspect together, we laid it out for our colleagues here to kind of come on and tell the stories. And really, it's important for doctors and others to really know about this. And Rick, and we had talked about the stories not being easy. And Joanne, you and Scott and challenge that you're facing. It's not like, oh, yay, this is great. It's not. And it's really, these are challenges. And, but people often, I don't want to make excuses for everyone. What do you say to someone? You don't really know. And it's a challenge of finding the right words and what to say, and especially resources of care. And that's kind of where I think the failings or difficulties are across the United States, not only New Jersey, but across everywhere. Who do they see? What kind of doctor is going to understand? And what's the tests that are going to give you the answers? How do we fix the problem? What's the solution to the problem? And I'm saying this in a rhetorical way because these are not really easy things, but there's a lot going on within the field of Down syndrome, Alzheimer's, and I wouldn't say the future is like this miraculous, great, beautiful future of people, but there's a lot more going on behind the scenes, and my friends and colleagues know that with research and information. But this film is just great to set the stage for these things.
Beautiful. All right, thanks.
Yeah.
I just, Liz, do you want to jump into the?
Yeah,
I'm
so we
sorry.
have-
First of all, Joanne, what were you going to say? I'm sorry,
I
Joanne.
was just going to tell Seth that my newest thing that I say when I take Scott to like a radiology appointment, he's had a lot of issues with falling, and the radiologists, the technicians, they all go, "Oh, he's so cute." And I say to them, "I'll give him to you for 2 weeks. You won't think he's cute anymore."
Yeah.
Oh, so cute. Wow.
We have several questions from both the chat and the Q&A, and I'm going to kind of go through each of them, some of them. Here's one of them. Have any various Down syndrome parent support groups ever approached the Alzheimer's Association, national or local, to advocate with the medical association on the uniqueness of this disease for people with Down syndrome or any IDD?
Well, I can address that a little bit. We're in New Jersey, and I can't say I've been tremendously successful, but they do have our contact information and are willing to refer to us. There are some special considerations in the difference between, and Seth can talk about that, between Alzheimer's disease and Down syndrome with Alzheimer's disease. But I haven't been that successful. I will tell you, an organization that has listened is the National Down Syndrome Society. At first, they didn't want to touch it. I mean, going back a few years ago, they really want to focus on the young children, education, employment, and they kind of just did not want to hear about it. But they have really picked up the bandwagon with us, and they actually have a day they're going to be having, I think it's in March, Seth, in
Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah, that they're going to be, they talk about it and they're getting the information out.
Yeah, it's an adult summit.
Yeah, it was really not anything we knew was coming. I mean, I was in my 20s, they said she'll live to be 48. I said, oh, great, I can make it, not knowing what was coming my way. And then, you go through all that, like Joanna was saying, And then all of a sudden you're older, you're still dealing with it. And it's everything you put into this person and the trips and the doctors. And we used to take Michelle up to Children's Hospital in Boston, and I had 2 other little kids, and it was really a major effort just to get services. And it's been a long haul. And then now it's almost seems like for nothing, we're going downhill, and sometimes it's slow and sometimes it's very quickly. So it's kind of heartbreaking, but National Down Syndrome Society has really started addressing it, which I think will have impact. So
Yeah, I just put in the link, Leon, into
Okay,
the
great.
into the chat about the adult summit coming up.
Oh, okay. So now Betty, I see in the chat, she's saying I've attended webinars specific to this pop. Great. And do you know what state that is, Betty? Can you put that in, or whereabouts?
Well, when we do post this and we have this on our website and the platform on our website, we will add all the appropriate links
Okay,
as
great.
well. So there'll just be the film, the photographic gallery, but then all the important links that we will keep adding to, so that we really create a real resource for defined.
Perfect.
This film is only 10 to 12 minutes long, so we're not going to cover it all there. This is just an introduction, but right now we're actually going to step forward and maybe add all those links. I see Betty now adds. She's in New Hampshire, but this is through Michigan. So
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Here's
for that.
another question from a first-year medical student, Claire. Hi, thank you so much for sharing your stories and creating such a wonderful film. My name is Claire, and I'm a first-year medical student. My question was, what are the characteristics for things that made a memorably good physician or healthcare provider you have worked with throughout your experience?
wow.
Joanne, you want to take it?
Yeah, you know what? There's very few that I've encountered, but the ones that I have always liked are the ones who have spoken to Scott instead of to me first. And asked him when he was
They listen
capable.
and saw, yes.
Yeah, when he was capable. He isn't anymore. But when he was, he would say what was wrong with him, say what he needed. He was very high functioning. So to me, that's very, very important. Don't
Right.
ignore them. I recently had a doctor at Deborah Hospital do that, ignore him, and it really upset me.
Yeah.
So he didn't get a good review.
Yeah, no. Good. I would second that. Absolutely. When they come in and they address the individual themselves. We go to a dentist, a pediodontist, actually, that Michelle's been going to since 1978, if you can imagine. He's now turned to practice, Dr. Bill Lieberman, I'll give him a plug. And he has we still go to him. He still sees her, even though she's an adult. And he has a flower for her every time she goes. She loves to go to the dentist. So
Nice.
Yes,
no,
that's nice.
there's
Yeah.
people like that. There are, but it's hard to
Yeah.
find them. Yeah.
Very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also role models.
Role models. They should be role models. Yes. You can talk to them.
Hi.
Seth, how about you? What's your response to that?
Well, I think, I think what was said is so true, that you have to treat the person as somebody with value and important. And if you don't, I mean, it's horrible. You can only imagine that for yourself, for you, your family member, child, to go in there and not even think of them as having value and worthy. It's just, it's almost, I mean, we're in the fields, we're kind of biased, but it's not uncommon. I mean, there's a lot of stereotypes and ignorance out there, and it certainly adds on top of that. And I think the other thing that's very important, just as a big story, is that it's not easy for families to grapple about the change decline, because they fight. I won't speak for Joanne and Leon about fighting from day one for your child, that you're fighting to give them the rights and all the value and acceptance, and then change happens. And to accept change is a change of a decline and progression that might imply Alzheimer's, even for family members and for organizations, is a hard pill to swallow. And so this is really a difficult subject matter that I think we're all beginning to learn about, because a number of decades ago, the people with Down syndrome weren't even living long back, decades ago, and now people are living longer, but then Alzheimer's is there for many people. So we're still learning along the way, and these stories and these videos and such are important, and bringing the advocates is so important. And listen, and the young people in the field, the medical students, the dental students, the residents, we definitely applaud those kinds of organizations like the ADMD and the National Task Group, National Down Syndrome Society, Global, I can go on, are so important for us to work together to really work and train and talk about these important things. And research and future is something that really has to be done more. And there's a lot going on about that.
Well, thanks, Seth. And again, just want to remind everyone that our closed captioning is going place concurrently. Our thanks to Total Caption, and thank you, Christine from San Diego, who's doing our live captioning. And thank you, With Foundation, for supporting this. But so great, Claire. Thanks. Great question, Claire. Thank you so much. Liz, are there other questions?
Yeah, these are more specific, and maybe Dr. Keller, anyone here can maybe that was a link that we can have. Do we have like specific ones? One is sort of also having to do with the last film, which is on seizure disorder. And they said, how often are seizure disorders seen in early onset dementia in persons living with Down syndrome? How similar or different is treatment and the effectiveness?
I could answer that. So as a neurologist, I treat seizures. I think one thing I treat probably commonly is seizures. And I think this is probably one thing that does separate early onset Alzheimer's, Down syndrome, probably more than normotypical Alzheimer's and other populations, is seizures. Seizures actually are very, very common. And sometimes someone with Down syndrome who may have had seizures or not, if they all of a sudden are adult in their 40s or 50s included, and they start having seizures, then that's a sign for them that's a sign that they might be developing Alzheimer's, is one of the earlier clues. And the type of seizures that they have may be different than other typical seizures. There's something called a myoclonic seizure, which is basically a rapid, quick jerk, like their arm or leg may all of a sudden jerk, and that's typical. So again, there are nuances that are somewhat different in people with Down syndrome than others. And then the medications, I can go on and on, Liz. The medication we treat them can be very, good or very problematic based on side effects. So it's a complex thing that not only, healthcare providers may not appreciate, but even neurologists. I'm a specialist, but even neurologists, I would say, oh, all neurologists know this. No, that's not really true. Adult-oriented neurologists also are somewhat ignorant because there's lack of education and training on not only progression of disease and aging with Down syndrome, but also in seizures too. So we have a lot more to learn, but we're beginning, and hopefully more and more we'll do a better job and get the word out.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Seth.
There's one other question here from Denise Delgado. What percentage of adults living with Down syndrome get early on or Alzheimer's disease?
Leon, do you want to take some of it?
Yeah, not everyone is going to get it. It's not a given, but it's a very high incidence. And Michelle is participating in a study out of Columbia where they're trying to study you too. Oh, good,
Yeah.
Scott too. Good, yeah, New York. It's in New York, and so hopefully they're going to get answers on that. But it's not a guarantee, but it's probable.
Yeah, I often use 60% by age 60. That's often the statistic.
Oh, okay.
That's a statistic that I use, and the reason why that it's happening is because it's the extra chromosome 21 that creates this particular protein called beta amyloid that builds up in people's brains with Down syndrome, and because of the extra copy, they have extra beta amyloid, and that beta amyloid starts even building up in someone with Down syndrome even in their 20s. So it's very common, and so the studies that Leon or and Michelle and Joanna Scott are looking for the evidence that do they really even have Alzheimer's, and is this really beta amyloid? And so there's a lot of information and research that trying to be real black and white. When does this really start, and when do you start treatment, or how do you intervene, or what do you change? So there's a lot of things that we're learning more and more about this.
Beautiful. Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you. The best part going to Columbia of New York was we took a limo.
It was a fun day. They send a card and then they give them like 10 menus to pick their breakfast and lunch.
Yeah.
It felt like another movie star that day. So she loved it. She can't wait to go back.
Have they come out to your house, Leon?
They have. They have.
Yeah, because they've
yeah,
been here with Scott too.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was just glancing through some of the comments in the chat, and I saw from Michael Weinberg from AHRC New York City, because that he thought that Brenda Wall's comment that she didn't know this Colleen was really quite striking. And I found that to be something that was really powerful in hearing these stories and kind of getting, and early days when we were putting this film together and starting to collaborate, and Seth and I were in discussion of some of the important components that we needed to add to this film, was really that families will spend so much of their time creating, setting up the independence of that individual and the families, and really kind of getting there and getting that all of a sudden success, and then all of a sudden almost having to rediscover that person and the steps backwards or steps forward, however we want to look at that, but really as kind of a new way of really kind of being reintroduced to that individual and not this person that they.
And that includes resetting expectations.
Sure.
So for
That's
someone, again, I want to speak for Leona and Joanna, you can speak for yourself, you know, the expect of work and activities and tolerance of different things will change. So, you know, we say, oh, we want you to do everything and continue to do everything. But again, if you're having a progressive decline of that's dementia, maybe they're not able to, and they'll get frustrated. So there has to be a flexibility, a resiliency, and appreciation of change and where to modify. So family members, caregivers have to begin to appreciate the change. So the education, understand what's really going on, so you can then help support the person in a way that won't cause more problems. Be supportive is so hugely important.
And as Stephanie just says here, steps in a new direction.
Right.
So amazing.
I think it's because it's so difficult for the families to accept it now. As much education and advocacy as I have done, we had an experience with Michelle in September. She went for a physical with two doctors that we've known for 30 years. And she loves to go there. It's an event like this every time. And the day before, we had a very exciting day, because we had gotten a gift of a movie studio where you could invite all the people you wanted. We were in the time of COVID here. So she got to invite her friends, and we had a whole big thing. That was Sunday. Monday morning, we go to the doctor. And so they're saying to her, what have you been doing? And she just couldn't remember what had happened on Sunday, which, so in my normal reaction, with all I know, would be to jump in, and I didn't. So for some reason, and I could see she was really in distress and could not remember.
No.
And then they noticed, and of course they wrote to me. So we got in touch with Columbia, because and they came right out to do testing and all of that, because it was very dramatic. I have seen an increase in those kinds of things, and it's hard.
It's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking.
It is.
Thank you. I love my mother.
She loves you too, as we
Yeah.
all do, Michelle.
I do.
And,
We're in
and
it
Rick,
together.
one thing that I think is important is certainly the challenge that are faced for people and what may happen ahead. It's still living well. It's still trying to essentially try to make the best of a situation, and life is life, and trying to grab out of it as much as you can while you can. So living well with dementia, the concept that health and wellness and health promotion in people that are younger. And that's another important thing, I think, for the Down syndrome community, to appreciate the awareness of this issue that they may not want to appreciate or talk about when they're very young. So you ladies can talk about, when should this conversation start thinking about? When you're in your 50 years old now, you should probably talk about at least thinking about health and wellness early as a proactive approach to lifelong care.
Right.
So
Exactly.
we're learning.
We're learning
Every day.
Each day.
every.
That's right.
That's right.
Awesome. Any other comments anyone would like to add to this? I mean, or other questions, Liz? I think we've got captured. Oh, there are a couple more maybe.
You're muted.
Oh, here it is. Someone said, am I muted?
No,
No, Liz.
Okay.
I was. You can.
It just says, so what, and then this is actually from Robert to me. What is it like for you to produce these wonderful films? Why and how did you get interested in doing this? Again, early days, could just kind of very quickly created a frame film, which is Faces Redefining the Art of Medical Education. This is to help healthcare providers in training, practitioners, families, and communities understand early in their training and or understanding a certain topic or diagnosis. And it's never what you're treating, but always who you're treating. creating opportunities to place front row and center in all medical education and humanity. Make sure that we all have a voice and are represented in our own healthcare futures, for sure. So that's how these films start. So thanks for that question, Robert.
3 home runs.
Seth,
Yes.
did you have fun doing this, creating these?
Yes.
It's, you know, I mean, yeah, I mean, I definitely wanted to get the message out, but also I was a little tentative, I guess. It was like bringing out stories and, you know, again, it's important to get these stories out and try to how to, you know, tell a story, but not to be scary in a way. How do you get the message out? So, you know, I wouldn't say I was totally apprehensive, but I knew how important it was for us in you know, our training education across the country and what families really need to tell a story. And they're the ones who really need to be there to explain. So this gave us the great opportunity, Rick, you know, for Frame to be able to have family members and caregivers explain it from their own viewpoint. And so I think it's great. And we're just going to move on, keep going, moving on with more training education.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Great. I see that there's a question in the chat room. It says, and this question comes from Anuva. What care options, home, community-based, and institutional, are available for adults living with Down syndrome who have early onset Alzheimer's? Also, is supported decision-making an option in this population? Interesting. Tying in our 3 films.
I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead, Leanne.
yeah, I was gonna say all of those situations are possible. It depends on the caregivers, you know. I mean, we're all dealing with our own medical issues. I hope I can, you know, continue. I'm gonna continue as long as I can. But it's good to make those decisions early. You want to make, you know, the decisions of what you're going to do. You want to understand what the process maybe is going to be. You no longer, you know, they might be not able to take their own showers. They might not be able to toilet themselves. You've got to kind of think this through, how much you can do, whether you're going to bring someone into your home. But the decisions, you know, if they, you know, not to be morbid and, but there's big decisions to be made. You know, would you want a feeding tube put in? What, you know, because there's a danger of aspiration and choking. So make those before it's emotional. Michelle and I have had those discussions, which even amazes me that I was able to have those, because she saw her friends have feeding tubes, and a couple of them wound up in nursing homes, and it was very difficult for her to go and visit and to see those things going on. So she and I have talked about what she would want, right? We talked about the feeding tubes, and
Especially the future, yes.
in the future. We have, you know, we've had those discussions because sometimes families are caught unaware and the person gets rushed to the hospital, and guardianship is very important, extremely important, particularly, you know, as they age. You know, so that you have the ability to make the decisions. I, you know, have seen so many stories where treatment was provided, and if you don't have guardianship, getting, you know, breathing tubes removed. And I'm sure Seth has seen it probably more than I have, but those are the things to have a discussion with your family, you know, their siblings, relatives, you know, who may be taking over for you. I really thought I would outlive Michelle. That was, you know, my goal. That's my goal in life. But I may not. Her life expectancy is in the 60s now. So not so sure. So I've had to talk to my daughters about what to expect and what might be coming their way and how we're going to handle it. And you need to have those discussions, I think.
And healthcare providers must appreciate also what the family members themselves are going through and the caregivers. So as we're talking about the person obviously going through these changes and progression, what about the one who's caring for them, an aging parent, a sibling, a direct support professional? How are they affected by this? Or the organization, how are they impacted? And so again, doctors, nurse practitioners, others, will they really appreciate it? Because if you don't really appreciate what you are going through as a family member, and I'm just looking at that person, that's missing a lot of information. And so we should be lending support as a resource, as a guide, or at least an ear, at least listen and hearing what you're going through.
Yeah, good point.
Amazing. Well, everybody, thank you so much for being here for the world premiere of this.
And thank you for having us.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
being a
having me.
star, Michelle.
Thank you. I can't take out the
Can't
pretty
wait
one.
till
Hey,
The
Michelle.
the other star with me is my mother.
I know,
Thank you.
she's amazing.
And I know that you already saw my father. He's the Prince Charming to us too.
Great, awesome.
Nice.
Well, we're excited about July 27th and your 18th anniversary.
Thank you.
You know what I would love to hear is the feedback that you get when these films are shown. to
Sure.
them. Oh, I would
Yeah.
love to. know
We're
that.
one of the things I wanted to mention is that we are going to send a survey out after each film. We're sending out a survey to the community and kind of get some feedback on this. And this is really just the beginning. This is a very brief film on a very important subject. It could be its own mini TV, not even mini, a TV series.
Yeah.
And we will create more on this as we grow forward, but we're going to listen to feedback and we're going to come and think of new ways that we can actually address these issues and these challenges, but really start these sometimes difficult conversations. So
Perfect.
important. So thank you all for participating. Thank you all for being
Thank
such stars. Helping Seth Keller, thank you so much for your
Thank you,
guidance. Thank you, Diplodocus, for your great film. Thank you, With Foundation, for your love and support and helping us create and develop these very important films. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Great
Thank
to see
you.
all.
Liz.
Thank
Bye-bye. Be
you.
well.
Mwah.
Thanks, panelists. You're all incredible.
you.
Yay. Thanks,
Yay.
Michelle.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks,
Thank
Leo.
you.
Thank you, Seth.
Thanks for seeing them the way we do. Really, thank you.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
there's
Bye-bye.
such beauty.
Bye.
there. Bye, gorgeous. Bye. Thanks, Joanne. Give my love to
Thank
Scott.
you.
Okay.
I will. Thank you, Rick. Thank you for letting us be part of it.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Christine, for your live captioning. That was awesome. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Have a great Saturday.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.